Come on, baby, you got it, you got it.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Catching Up with the Catrons. This is episode number 2. 2 for twins. So this is gonna be an awesome episode. We're gonna kind of stick to the similar format that we had last week. We're gonna change up segments as this show progresses, but we're gonna talk about real estate, and we're gonna give you guys a little bit of an update on what's going on in the real estate world. I'm gonna give you an update and get you caught up on the music, entertainment, sports, all the fun stuff that's going on with that. Get you caught up on some local news and some things that are going on with business here locally for us. And we always like to end it on some epic house fails. So we'll kind of get into it. Seth, how was your week so far?
That's not too bad. I mean, it's been gray and rainy all week, so that's kind of a bummer. But for being at home again for another week, I think I've been pretty productive. Yesterday was a pretty big day. There was a giant old ash tree that was dead, basically like right on our property line. And I wish I had some pictures to show. I'll post some pictures later, but this crew came out. I mean, this tree was gigantic, and it took 7 dudes from 9 o'clock in the morning till probably like 5:30, 6 o'clock cutting away at this thing. I have a ton of firewood. I think I'm going to have to either borrow somebody's chainsaw or go invest in a new chainsaw. But I got a ton of wood.
This is separate from the fence issue that you had?
Yeah. So
the fence that fell over, got blown over in the wind, and then this tree fell yesterday, or?
Well, the tree was about to fall. And so the neighbor got a tree company out there, but they wound up having to like take some of the fence down so they can like get around this tree and cut it. And in the process, there was one fence post that I kind of knew it was pretty jacked up, but it was all rotted off at the bottom. So when they went to take the fence apart, it just broke the post off. Now I've got to go dig another hole right next to another tree and fix another section of fence. So, my fence projects aren't finished, but it's been a pretty good week. How about you? What have you been doing?
Working from home. Trying to do my part and helping to clear the air sooner rather than later. Been kind of a busy week working from home. I got to a point where I desperately needed a haircut. That was for sure. And, back in the day, I think I would cut my hair on my own. And, now I'm trying to be presentable, even on camera here with the current situation. And my wife, Anna, decided to help me out with giving me a little bit of a trim. I think she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people online getting their haircut, and a lot of people have been under quarantine for 5-6+ weeks. It's time to get a haircut, right? So yeah. I've seen a few people online doing their own hair. Guys, it's like selling your house, okay? Call a professional. Do it the right way. This is from the other day here I saw.
She did a good job.
Yeah. So don't end up like this, dude. Remember the bowl cut where mom would stick the bowl on and just give it a once over?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
That is definitely a DIY bowl cut if I've ever seen one. Don't do bangs right now. If I can give you guys any hair tips for this episode for this week, don't do any bangs. Don't do it yourself unless you're totally isolated by yourself. Even get a little kid to at least give you a hand or something. I don't know. Good luck with all the hair stuff out there. But yeah, it's kind of my week. Got a haircut. Feeling fresh.
Nice. I'm about due. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let it go. Just let it go. Ponytail back up.
Well, I was thinking about trying to dig up the old senior photos of us. Seth and I had hair like halfway down our back, all over the shoulders. We were the hippie wrestlers that all the country folk just didn't understand. I think they're wrestlers, but they got long hairs like hippies.
Yeah. The good old days.
The good old days. Well, hey, let's get caught up on the real estate market. It's been
Yeah.
kind of a hot topic. So looking at the stats for the last week, there has been a lot of talk about the market just coming to a crawl, stopping. Nobody wants to list their homes. Nobody wants to go look at homes, right? Well, last week, in the last 7 days, there have been 433 homes listed. 433. Now, that's down quite a bit from last week. And I think we're going to kind of see that trend here for a little bit. I think we're getting close to being able to bounce back from this thing. And I think the floodgates will then open up. There'll be a lot of pent up demand. So for all you sellers out there, if you are trying to play it safe, that is perfectly fine. Take care of your family, take care of yourself. Just know that we're just around the corner, I think, from the market just exploding. So in the last 7 days, there have been 688 homes penned or go under contract. So yeah, it's awesome. But we've got more homes that are going under contract than we are coming on the market. So it's just a supply issue right now. We kind of talked about that last week. And, we've been in one of the best sellers markets that we've been in 25 years. The last about 3 to 5 years has been a pretty good sellers market here in the Indianapolis area. So, with supply and demand, that controls the values and it controls the prices. Prices in central Indiana have gone up 9.8%, almost a 10% increase from this time last year. So on a year-over-year trend, prices and values are up 10%. But also listings are down 10%.
Really?
So, it's if you were the only guy in town that had gas at your gas station, you could charge whatever you wanted, right? So it's kind of like that in the simplest form of supply and demand. Well, to kind of piggyback off of that, one thing that I have been seeing a lot, talking to a lot of lenders, I've been hearing this a lot, been getting the phone calls from our clients, is now a good time to refinance. Well, interest rates have been kind of up and down all over the place, and there's a lot of factors that are kind of pushing interest rates around. If you looked at interest rates right before the quarantine hit, they were starting to trend down, and even for the first couple of weeks, they were as low as they've ever been. They went back up for a little bit. There's a lot of talk about the federal government basically went down to zero with their interest rates. Well, what they were talking about was their interest rates for the money that the lenders can get their hands on. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't actually available to the consumer to go out and get a dirt cheap interest rate. That was just more coming from the government to kind of help banks push out some more loans. I think they were kind of anticipating this sort of thing happening. So, interest rates, guys, if you talk to your parents, they remember interest rates being up to 12, 13%. If you talk to even the older crowd, they remember interest rates up to 18%. And back in 1981, we had one of the worst mortgage crises that this country's ever seen. And people had to get creative and come up with solutions for creative financing, seller financing, land contracts were floating around then. So with the refinancing right now, it's a great time to go refinance. One tip that I'll give you when it comes to refinancing, or if you're going to do anything with your deed. Now, I know I'm kind of dragging this out. There's a lot of different reasons to refinance. One reason might be to add somebody onto the mortgage or add somebody onto the deed. Whenever you're doing any sort of a change, you want to make sure that your exemptions are still filed. Sometimes the exemptions can fall off. And what that does here in Indiana is it causes your taxes to go way up. And it can affect sometimes the buyer's ability to be able to purchase your home and it be affordable to them because the taxes are higher. So if you're ever doing any sort of refinancing, which I do think is good depending on what your interest rate is.
I just refinanced. So
yeah,
that's the one thing I'm going to have to do now is make sure I get my mortgage exemptions on there.
Yeah, just make sure. Sometimes they don't fall off. If you're not changing too much up with the deed, but you do definitely want to double check that your exemptions aren't going to fall off on that.
How do you check on that?
You can contact us, and then we can reach out to the local title company You can contact your county auditor and give them a call, and they'll be able to tell you. So you got a couple different resources to find that stuff out. Real quick, we talked last week about this thing called forbearance. And this was an option that mortgage companies have come out with to allow people to get by for a couple months without having to pay their mortgage payment. There's really two different versions of this, if you guys are thinking about it. There's forbearance and there is deferment. Deferment is basically pushing off the loan to a later date. It's more for short term. You're basically going to get a big bill after a couple months of not paying it. That's what it sounds like. I haven't done it yet. Forbearance is kind of an option within that you might be able to push off those payments that you're not paying right now till later on. I'm not a mortgage expert. I could be getting those two wrong a little bit, but there is a difference. So if you're thinking about delaying your monthly payment, check out the forbearance and the deferment options and just really understand, okay, am I going to have to pay this when this whole thing clears? In 3 months? Am I going to have to pay 3 months all of a sudden? Or can I push this back to the end? One thing that this awesome option, okay, it's great for people right now and everything that they're dealing with. One thing that it's causing, though, is it's causing banks to not get the money that they've been expecting every single month from all the loans that they've been selling. So they're kind of on a shortage right now. So they're trying to protect themselves and be a little bit more conservative. So just this week, the banks have all come out and they basically have changed their guidelines. So if you were a buyer that had a 620 or even a 640 credit score and you were out ready to go and you were starting to shop for houses, well, unfortunately, now the credit requirement for most banks have gone up. I've seen it up to 660. Chase Bank just came out and said, if you don't have a 700 credit score, we're not giving anybody a loan.
Really?
And I think the down payment's got to be 20% for them. They're really trying to be conservative. Yeah. So if you guys haven't heard from your mortgage lender for a while and you guys are out there shopping right now and you are using a government loan like an FHA, VA, or USDA, get with your lender today and make sure that you're still good and you're still within the guidelines and can still get that loan. The debt to income ratio has gone up. You used to be able to have, I think, into the 50s as far as how much debt that you had versus how much money that you make. Now it's got to be well below that. It's gotten really tight. It's gotten really tough to get a loan. We will go back to some sort of a normal on what we were seeing before this whole thing happened. It could be a little while. And, it's always a case-by-case thing with all buyers. So just because your credit score might not be where it is, if you've got, a pretty good debt-to-income ratio, you've got a lot of money saved up that you can show as reserves, sometimes you can still get that loan. So really check with your lenders if you guys are pre-approved. Make sure things haven't changed for you guys on that end. So we could talk forever about the real estate scene. But
exciting stuff, man.
It is. It's exciting.
For us.
Yeah, things are changing, but it's still a great time to buy. It's still a great time to sell. If you guys have any questions about the real estate market and what your current situation is, give us a call. We'll kind of help you come up with a good game plan for whatever your situation is.
Yeah.
But let's get caught up with one of my favorite topics, the music entertainment scene.
Yeah.
Not really sure exactly what you're focusing on here today, but let's get caught up.
Well, I kind of talked about the Indie Music Relief Fund or the Indie Musicians Relief Fund last week.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing.
So I started looking into that, and there's a lot of grassroots type of music venues, music companies, corporations that are really hurting. A lot of people are canceling gigs, not postponing, and they're flat out canceling gigs.
Gosh.
And the music scene is it's getting tough right now. The cool thing is there's a lot of GoFundMe pages that are popping up all over the place. And so if you care about music and you care about your music scene, no matter where you are in the country or in the world, check into some of those local GoFundMe pages. It's going to go a long way towards helping out not just the musicians, but all the other artists that are in your community. And even a $10 donation, something small like that is going to help and go a long way. One of the things that I noticed just kind of browsing through all the music stuff this week There's a lot of talk about when is this music scene, live music, music venues, when is all that going to come back? And nobody has an answer. Right now, nobody has a single clue as to when we're going to get back to a normal music scene.
Yeah. I know
I heard
the days of jam-packed bars and crowd surfing is it's gonna be a while till we see that, fortunately.
Well, I know our governor, Eric Holcomb, came out and said, when we do start to open up, it's not like flipping a light switch. They're going to kind of roll things out, as they need to. Obviously, the essential stuff is going to come first. They didn't really mention anything about music, art, or entertainment. And one of the articles I read earlier this week is they're projecting that we might not have a live concert in our country, in the United States, until late 2021.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I'm, both of us are super passionate about music. We need it in our lives. We need live music, and without it, life's just not as fun.
Well, for you guys out there that are watching this and you aren't aware, Seth and I do have a band called the Twin Cats, and we've been in the local music scene for, I don't know, 15 plus years. Started playing in bars when we were 14 years old. We've got about 3 or 4 gigs. We've gotten really busy with real estate, but we've got about 3 or 4 gigs on the books right now, and all of them have gotten pushed back. I don't think any of them have gotten canceled. But yeah, it is just one big question mark right now.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing to be postponing gigs, and I think that's great. It kind of sucks for especially the musicians that have had full schedules. Yeah, they can look forward to gigs coming up in the future, but what are they going to do now? But there's been a lot of people that have just flat out canceled. And so that was one of the things I noticed this week. South by Southwest just came out this week and said they were flat out canceling it. They're not going to do it. Coachella, they're trying to postpone it. They're really pushing to try to get one in this year. They've got a lot of financial backers. They've got a lot of pretty smart people involved with that. I don't know. We'll see. I think they're going to have a real hard time pulling off Coachella this year. But Pearl Jam, they just announced that they're going to postpone their European tour. Again, they don't really know when they're going to come back, but they're trying to postpone it. They're trying to reschedule a lot of these shows. But there's been a ton of festivals across the world that have canceled. A bunch of them I've never heard of. The BST Hyde Park, the Mighty Hoopla. The inaugural Wide Awake Festival in London was going to be huge.
Really?
And that one's going to take place in 2021. But there's a ton that have canceled. So the Ringo Starr Tour canceled. The Who's canceled their North American tour. Brian Fallon, Roger Waters, the Isle of Wight, all these people are canceling their shows. So it sucks. But go check out those GoFundMe pages. The artists and musicians in your area, they can use some help. And we're just going to pray that we get some live music at some point this year. But some of the cool stuff that I saw this week, and kind of transitioning over to sports, there is a ton of sports leagues that have also just canceled. NBA, NHL, I think the NFL, Major League Baseball, pretty much any sport that requires a ball or a stick or both. They're not going to be doing anything this year.
Yeah.
But one thing I got real excited about is I spent last weekend kind of doing some stuff in the garage. And I've got the IndyCar app. Adam and I are big fans of IndyCar, and they were running a race last week.
Was it the iRace?
Amazing. So they're doing iRacing, and with the technology that we've got now, I mean, it
looks so real, man.
It looks great. I mean,
just like glance at the TV, you're like, shit, they're running a race.
Yeah, it looks like they're running an actual race. Yeah. It's entertaining. I mean, they've had this technology out for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I used to spend hours with the steering wheel and pedals and running racetracks and different cars. And so the technology is not new, but it has come a long way since you and I have been doing it. And so they're actually running races with actual drivers, running for points. It's really entertaining. The cool thing that I've noticed is a lot of the guys that have been racing for a long time and been dominating aren't doing as well because they've got all these young kids that are coming up, and they're kicking ass
Dude,
because
just-
they've been
yeah.
doing simulator stuff since they were a kid, and
Yeah, 8 hours a day, skipping school.
so they're doing really well. So the couple of the people that finished in the top 10 the last couple of races have been younger guys that you know they're doing really well. The most exciting thing I watched, this was the Michigan International Speedway.
Yeah,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. joined the race. I don't know
really?
if you guys are familiar with Dale Earnhardt Jr., but he's a NASCAR guy,
Yeah.
and he got a seat for the IndyCar race. And the last 10 laps was the most exciting IndyCar race I've seen in a long time. I think he was 14th, and at that point they were all playing strategy,
Yeah.
trying to save tires and gas. And it got down to like the last 3 laps, people started dropping off left and right because they were running out of gas. And
Huh.
Junior went from 14th to finish 3rd.
Wow, that's awesome.
For a
So do
NASCAR guy, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you think that I mean, because it's way safer, you should not get hurt doing iRacing. If you do get hurt, you're doing it wrong. But so do you think that we'll start seeing like the old guys coming out, the old retired drivers?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think there is a mentality amongst the sport where there's a whole group of people that look at iRacing and then they don't like it and they think that it's fake.
Yeah.
But there is a huge community out there that is way into iRacing. That Michigan race, they averaged throughout the entire race 202,000 viewers for that race.
Wow.
They peaked at like
Averaged.
248,000 views. That's more than most live tracks get sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's
Wow.
drawn a lot of attention. Roger Penske, he's playing a little bit of a role with this, and he's really wanting to make sure that it doesn't get oversaturated.
Yeah.
If you go to the iRacing website, there's a race for everything. I mean, there's dirt races, vintage car races. You could spend all day, every day watching other people race,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. And then if you have the iRacing set up, you can get in there and race.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be around for a while. Like you said, it's a lot safer. There's definitely going to be some leagues that when we come out of this whole coronavirus thing, there's going to be some leagues that are going to stick around for a long time. I think iRacing is just it's getting real popular.
That's really cool.
The other cool thing that has been going on, with the virtual sports, there's a league that I've been in. It's called the World Axe Throwing League.
Yeah.
And since this whole Corona thing happened, they were actually one of the first people to start doing virtual competitions. And I mean, it was like, I think a couple weeks in, they had the program set up and they coordinated this whole thing. And so now
awesome.
worldwide, they're still doing the leagues. They've changed the name to the Quarantine Axe League, which I kind of like. But it's been great. I mean, I've played against people that I would have never played against, met people from all over the country, met a guy from Canada. It's been fantastic. So
That's cool.
you can't really, I'm not sure how people can really watch the matches, but I think if you get on Facebook, there is a Facebook page. You could probably get in there and watch some of these matches, but it's
all
been a
about
lot of
street
fun.
cred.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's all
I
about
mean,
that street cred.
now I just think it's great that an organization like that and IndyCar, they're out there, they're pushing the sport and they're continuing to compete, and it's just a great thing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And the last thing I wanted to talk about is kind of going into the arts and entertainment. You remember the Larry Bird picture
Yeah.
that was down like Fountain Square?
Yeah, the huge painting downtown on the side of was it the Stutz building or?
Yeah,
Something like that.
it's down in Fountain Square somewhere. There's a local artist. His name is Ryan Mullins. He kind of caught some flack for that one, and I think a couple other ones that he's been doing.
That's right. Yeah.
Everything that he does, I absolutely love. My favorite one was the Larry Bird one. For those of you that don't know, let me do a little screen share action for you, so you can see that picture. So this was the Larry Bird, right? And he kind of got some flack for it, especially for the face tattoos.
That's
I think
freaking
at one
awesome.
point, it's
The
awesome.
spider web on the shoulder.
Oh, dude, it's badass. So I really like this one. But the guy who owns the building came to Ryan, who was the artist, and he was like, "Hey, do you think we could maybe change up a
Wait,
little
wait, wait,
bit?"
wait. So hey, it's got the muck rock on it too. The two rabbits that
Yeah.
got that they had to paint over that was on the beholder.
Yeah. The
That's
same
cool.
guy.
All right, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So the owner of the building came to him and goes, "Hey, I want to do a little homage. I want to do a tribute to all the frontline workers that have been out there, like risking their lives, working endlessly, tirelessly to save us all." He was like, "Dude, I got you." So he did a new mural over the top of it. And this is the new one, which I think is just great. So they've replaced the blue jersey with the blue scrubs, replaced the finger over the mouth shushing with a surgical mask. I think he did a great job. I love this
That's
guy. I think
really
he's doing some
cool.
cool stuff. So that's really it for the arts and entertainment side of things.
That's really cool.
I think it's time to do a little house fails.
Yeah, I think
What do you think?
we were gonna talk about the local business scene. I think what I'd like to do is get Mike Cordo on here. Um, get an actual local business on here to interview them and kind of get their take on what they're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
While we're talking about it really quick, guys, it is so important right now to get out and support your local restaurants and do the carry out. I know we all just spent a lot of money stocking up on bread and food and cans and toilet paper and all that. If you guys can, plan a day, go out and support your local restaurants. They really, really could use your support right now. Um, you know, without getting too deep into it, especially here locally in Indianapolis, there have been some of the earlier restaurants that had to close because they were told to, for some reason, aren't getting the money that everybody else is getting in the small business world. The CARES Act, basically established a new financial assistance program for small businesses that had up to 500 employees. Well, there are companies that are getting this money that definitely have more than 500 employees. Chain restaurants, things like that, where they're nationwide. They're not really a small business, so a lot of frustration here in the local scene. This is where we usually talk about the business aspect of it. Restaurants are still hurt, so guys, get out there and support them. On a lighter note, on a good note, all the guys that are out there working construction, man, there are so many construction jobs going on right now. And handyman their phones are ringing off the hook. Everybody wants to do home projects because they're at home.
Yeah.
So all the whole contracting world right now is doing really well. Those guys have not slowed down one bit. So that's kind of a little idea out there. If you guys are unemployed, looking for some side work, there's a lot of people out there looking for some painting, home projects. It's springtime now, so there's a lot of outdoor projects that people are looking to get done. So in that aspect, in our local business scene, it's doing pretty well. But yeah, let's catch up on some more epic house fails, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
What you got for us today?
And we bring this up here. No, that's a good point, though. I think the trades across the board have suffered for years. Just they don't have enough good quality people. So if you're handy and you've got some tools and you're looking for some work, there's work to be had out there.
Absolutely.
And realtors like us can use some more good quality contractors.
Absolutely.
Speaking of good quality contractors, I don't know what happened here. I kind of got a little theme going this week. So this is my first epic fail. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if this is not the United States. There's no way. It's got to be like somewhere else. But this was another one. I had to look at it for a minute. I'm like, I don't see what's wrong with it.
Durkistan or what's the?
Dude, I don't know. That's pretty bad.
Wow. Well, hey, as long as you're not making eye contact, that's when it really gets weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think there's walls in between. It's hard to tell.
Well, if you're a foot tapper, it'd be a lot easier. I'm just joking. We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
Wow,
I thought this one was pretty good. I mean,
that's a pretty epic
somebody put a
panel
lot
right
of time
there.
and effort into putting these walls or these doors
Yeah.
up.
Wow,
Yeah. I
interesting.
wonder if they were longer and they just cut them off.
It might make it easier to clean though. Just come in with a hose and just hose it all down and.
Maybe that's what they were thinking.
Wow.
And here's another one that I've seen a few times. This always makes me laugh. Whoever designed this bathroom, unless you're Stretch Armstrong, God, you're just asking for a mess.
Well, no, it helps you conserve. You pull off 2 squares before you sit down, and that's all you
So
get.
yeah, you'd have to like pull off what you think you're going to use before you sit down.
Oh man,
Who knows how much they're going to use before they sit down? Nobody.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gotta love the epic toilet fails.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorites is the epic bathroom fails. That's all I got for this week.
Well, that is it for our episode this week. Thank you guys so much for watching us. Thank you guys so much for all your clicks, comments. If you guys have questions about real estate, axe throwing, the local scene, the music scene, you want to take a little guitar lesson or drum lesson, if there's anything that we can do for you guys, reach out to us. And yeah, that is it for this week's episode. We'll catch you later.
We'll catch you later.
Next one.
We'll catch you later.
We're still working on that catchphrase.
Still working on that.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.